Why no natto rice balls and how to make them? That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya, a 63-year-old biohacker based on Japanese natural health and the author of Natto Unleashed. At the end of my last video, I said that there are no natto onigiri, even though there are some natto sushi rolls. And I said I was going to reveal the reason today. So in today's video, I will first share with you why there is no natto onigiri and how to make natto onigiri, because there are ways to make natto onigiri at home. So please watch the video until the end. Now, those of you who just discovered this video today, this is the Ikigai Diet channel, which is a health and longevity channel. We usually cover things like diet, exercise, mindset, and sometimes we cover Japanese blue zones, because there are several blue zones in Japan other than Okinawa, and we cover from traditional Japanese health method to modern Japanese health trend such as chokatsu. So basically, this is a channel about how to increase health span for people over 50 or 60. So if you're interested, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Okay, so you have seen some of those, right? Like natto maki, which means natto sushi rolls. Even in Japanese convenience stores, some of them are sold and they are sold at the supermarket. But you probably haven't seen any of those, like natto onigiri. Apparently, there was natto onigiri once, but they stopped selling it because it didn't work well. So why there are no natto rice balls? So the answer is in the type of rice used in sushi and the type of rice used in onigiri. So as I said in the last video, sushi is using sushi rice, which is made of vinegar, salt, and sugar. So sushi rice contains vinegar, but regular rice doesn't contain vinegar. So rice used in onigiri doesn't contain vinegar. So that's the difference. Because when you put natto inside the rice bowl or inside the sushi, because natto is a fermented food, the fermentation process begins once it is warm enough. I mean, usually it is warm in the summertime, or, especially if you're taking it to lunch. I mean, you're putting it in your lunch box and taking it outside, and it becomes very warm. And then the natto started being fermented again, and that will spoil the rice. But vinegar has sterilizing effect, and it kind of delays the spoil of the rice. So it doesn't completely stop it, but it sort of helps. So, it can kind of last for a few hours, so it's okay. But with onigiri, it's difficult. So that's why they don't sell in the stores. It's not really safe to sell natto onigiri. However, you can make natto onigiri at home, and you can always eat it for lunch if you maybe keep it in your fridge until lunchtime. There's no problem. And even if you want to take it outside, like you're putting in a lunch box and taking to the park or something, there are some ways to do it. So that's what I'll be sharing with you today. All right. So how to make natto onigiri? Okay, so the idea is just like a natto maki, natto sushi roll, you need to have some vinegar in the rice in order to stop the fermentation. Well, it doesn't completely stop the fermentation, but slow down the fermentation process if you want to take natto outside. So generally speaking, I don't recommend taking out natto so much, because natto is a fermented food. And if it in a warm temperature, then the fermentation process will continue. So it's not a suitable food to eat it outdoor or outside, generally speaking. But if you really want to make natto onigiri, then using vinegar is one way. So first, and then also this is a regular rice, but you want to cool down a little bit. I mean, usually when you make onigiri, you use the hot rice. You start making onigiri when the rice is hot, and then you put in the lunch box, and so by the time you eat it, the rice becomes cold because it's after like 2 or 3 hours. But when you're making natto, as soon as you put natto inside the rice, the fermentation process begins. Therefore, you don't want to make rice too hot. So you can first cool down the rice and then make natto onigiri. Yeah, and then, but first, in the rice, I'm going to pour a little bit of vinegar. So this vinegar, any vinegar is fine. Little bit of vinegar and salt. Some salt. Usually we put salt in onigiri, but if you put the salt already in the rice, then you don't need to add salt later on. And to make sushi rice, you add sugar here, but I'm not going to add sugar in this case, just only salt and vinegar. And then you mix the rice together. I mean, if you're eating natto onigiri at home, you don't need to do that. You can just use regular rice, and then you just put the onigiri in the fridge and wait until lunchtime, and then natto will not go bad. But if you're putting natto onigiri in your lunch box and taking it outside and eat it later for lunch, then it is better to have some vinegar in the rice. Okay, so something like that. And then we prepare natto. So today I'll be using some packaged natto so that it will be easier for you to do. And you just open the package, and again, not again, but this time you don't need to take the natto out of the fridge 20 minutes before, because natto will be out for a long time, for a few hours. So it doesn't really matter. Natto will be warm enough. And you want to mix natto. You don't need to, that many times. Maybe, 30 to 50 times is fine. And then usually I mix soy sauce with natto, but because I'll put the natto inside the onigiri, I use miso this time. Because if it's a liquid, sometimes it becomes messy. Just a little bit of miso, like that, and then mix it. Okay, so now natto is ready. And then the next process is quite important, because you will know if you try making natto onigiri, because natto is so slimy. When you put inside the rice, it kind of become very sticky and then sort of slippery. So even you hold natto with rice, natto beans will come out of the rice bowl, and it's very difficult to keep it inside. Therefore, it is good to use either lettuce or nori itself. And then kind of roll natto with something else before putting it inside the rice. So for example, with this one, put natto inside. Maybe you can use about half of the pack, because you cannot put too many things in the onigiri. There's not enough space, so about maybe half of the pack. And you basically roll. You just cover the natto with lettuce like that. And then you put some rice like that in your hand. And then maybe you need a bit more rice to cover. So I'm going to put I should have put my hand in the water, because rice sticks. I was too occupied with this rolling natto with lettuce that I forgot to put my hand in the water. So just one more, put it. Maybe this lettuce is a little too big, but anyway, so I need a bit more rice to cover it. Then using nori, you roll natto, onigiri. Like that. So that's one way of making natto onigiri. And then another way is I'll just wash my hands again. Another way is, so we have rice here, and you mix natto in the rice. With some maybe carrot and some cucumbers, like that, and miso. You mix them together. You sort of hold it. Hold it like this. So you have like that. And then this time I'll be using big nori, like a bigger size nori, like this. And then put it inside the nori and cover it with the nori. Yeah, just like that. So that is another way. So these are natto onigiri 2 pattern. Sorry, it's a little messy. I mean, I'm very clumsy person. I'm not really good at cooking. That's why I don't like to give you demonstration. But you got the idea. So you can probably do it better. You just try. You need to try doing it several times to see how it fit. But yeah, that's the way of making natto onigiri. So that was it. So please experiment yourself. Maybe putting, natto inside the lettuce wasn't a good idea. Maybe better to use softer vegetable, like maybe, I don't know, like a boiled cabbage or even like a boiled spinach or something like that. You just, experiment with different options to see what happens, or even putting in nori. I think wrapping natto with nori maybe what works better. Or you may want to put natto in the hummus, and then so that would kind of I don't know, stop this kind of sliminess a little bit, and then put the hummus in the onigiri to hold. That might be better. Yeah. So try doing it several times to see what works best for you. Now, as I said before, natto is not the best ingredient to put in onigiri for the reason I said. But if you are interested in making vegan onigiri, there are many other options. And the most common one, as I said before, is a umeboshi onigiri, the Japanese onigiri. Umeboshi or kombu onigiri is a very common one. But there are some other vegan onigiri you can make, which I will share with you in the next video. Okay, so again, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya, the author of Natto Unleashed. Oh yeah, this is the book Natto Unleashed. If you want to know about recipes using natto, there are tons of recipes, the Japanese recipes and Western recipes, so please read the book. And if you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel, and please leave your comment. So what are ways to make natto onigiri that you come up with? If you came up with a better idea, then please share that in the comment section below. And making onigiri using koso genmai, fermented brown rice. I made a video about it before, which is this one.